So I'm just going to bring up the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and it is a little bit long. There are 30 articles in there, and a preamble, and I think I'll read through most of it quite quickly. And Barbara, would you mind just listening and maybe just like paying attention to the ones that really stand out to you, and then we can maybe cover some of those afterwards. So I think that would be really.
We have another 15 minutes or so, yeah.
Okay, all right. So
I'll just mute myself and I'll stop my video.
All right. All right, I'm just going to screen share this now. All right, so for those that aren't familiar with it, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was signed on the 10th of December, 1948. Now, this was after World War II, when all of the atrocities of that war were being dealt with, and countries, nations were coming together to figure out how to never let this type of thing happen again. And so December 10th, for those that don't know as well, is International Human Rights Day every year. So it's just this also is the founding document for which many other human rights documents draw from, including the New Zealand Bill of Rights. So just very briefly, and I'm only going to read some of it, and then we'll try to have a quick recap afterwards. So, whereas recognition of the inherent dignity and of the equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family is the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world. Whereas disregard and contempt for human rights have resulted in barbarous acts which have outraged the conscience of mankind, and the advent of a world in which human beings shall enjoy freedom of speech and belief and freedom from fear and want has been proclaimed as the highest aspiration of the common people. So let's just jump into the articles now. Now, some of them are fundamental human rights that come from God-given sovereignty of the fact that you exist here on this earth. Some of these articles really give advice on how to enact these, and some of them are more structural rights that come out of the systems within which we live. So starting with Article 1, all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience, and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. Beautiful. Article 2, everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration without distinction. And it goes on to mention, different distinctions. So we all are entitled. Everyone who's on this planet is entitled to the rights laid out in this document. Article 3, everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of person. Article 4, no one shall be held in slavery or servitude. Slavery and the slave trade shall be prohibited in all their forms. Article 5, no one shall be subjected to torture or cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment or punishment. Article 6, everyone has a right to recognition everywhere as a person before the law. Article 7, all are equal before the law and entitled without any discrimination to equal protection of the law. Article 8, everyone has a right to an effective remedy by the competent national tribunals for acts violating the fundamental rights granted him by the Constitution or by law. Article 9, no one shall be subjected to arbitrary arrest, detention, or exile. Article 10, everyone is entitled to the full equality to a fair and public hearing by independent and impartial tribunal. Article 11, everyone charged with a penal offence has a right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty according to the law. No one shall be held guilty of any penal offence on account of any act or omission which did not constitute a penal offence under national or international law at the time when it was committed. Article 12. No one shall be subjected to the arbitrary interference with his privacy, family, home, or correspondence, nor to attacks upon his honour and reputation. Article 13. Everyone has the right to freedom of movement and residence within the borders of each state. Everyone has the right to leave any country, including his own, and to return to his country. Article 14. Everyone has the right to seek and enjoy in other countries asylum from persecution. This right may not be invoked in the case of prosecutions generally arising from non-political crimes or from acts contrary to the purposes and principles of the United Nations. Article 15. Everyone has the right to a nationality. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his nationality, nor denied the right to change his nationality. Article 16. Men and women of full age without any limitation due to race, nationality, or religion have the right to marry and to found a family. They have the equal rights to dissolve that marriage if they choose. Article 17. Everyone has the right to own property alone as well as in association with others. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his property. Article 18. Everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right includes the freedom to change his religion or belief, and freedom either alone or in community with others, and in public or private, to manifest his religion or belief in teaching, practice, worship, and observance. Article 19. Everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media, regardless of frontiers. Article 20. Everyone has the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association. No one may be compelled to belong to an association. Article 21. Everyone has the right to take part in the government of his country, directly or through freely chosen representatives. Everyone has the right to equal access to public service in his country. We cannot be denied public services. Article 22. Everyone, as a member of society, has the right to social security and is entitled to realisation through national effort and international cooperation and in accordance with the organisation and resources of each state of the economic, social and cultural rights indispensable for his dignity and the free development of his personality. Article 23. Everyone has the right to work, to free choice of employment, to just and favourable conditions of work, and to protection against unemployment. Everyone without discrimination has the right to equal pay for equal work. Everyone has the right to form and to join trade unions for the protection of his interests. Article 24. Everyone has the right to rest and leisure, including reasonable limitation of working hours and periodic holidays with pay. Article 25. Everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of himself and his family, including food, clothing, housing, and medical care, and necessary social services. and the right to security in the event of unemployment, sickness, disability, widowhood, old age, or other lack of livelihood in circumstances beyond his control. Motherhood and childhood are entitled to special care and assistance. All children, whether born out of wedlock or not, shall enjoy the same protections. Article 26, everyone has the right to education. Education shall be free, at least in the elementary and fundamental stages. Education shall be directed to the full development of the human personality and to the strengthening of respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. It shall promote understanding, tolerance, friendship among nations, racial or religious groups, and shall further the activities of the United Nations for the maintenance of peace. Parents have a prior right to choose the kind of education that shall be given to their children. Article 27, everyone has the right to freely participate in the cultural life of the community, to enjoy the arts and to share in scientific advancement and its benefits. Everyone has the right to protection of the moral and material interests resulting from any scientific, literary, or artistic production of which he is the author. Article 28. Everyone is entitled to a social and international order in which the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration can be fully realized. Article 29. Everyone has duties to the community in which alone the free and full development of his personality is possible. In the exercise of his rights and freedoms, everyone shall be subject only to such limitations as are determined by law solely for the purpose of securing due recognition and respect for the rights and freedoms of others, and of meeting the just requirements of morality, public order, and the general welfare in a democratic society. These rights and freedoms may in no case be exercised contrary to the principles, purposes, and principles of the United Nations. Article 30, the final article in the United Nations, in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Nothing in this declaration may be interpreted as implying for any state, group, or person any right to engage in any activity or perform any act aimed at the destruction of any of the rights and freedoms set forth herein. The end. So there's a lot there, and you can see many of these are reflected in the Bill of Rights. And you know, it's all laid out there, folks. We'll put the link of this in the description of the video so that you can download it. And we're also going to make another copy that's easily printable for you to print off and keep a copy with you. Yeah, Barbara, what did you think of all that?
I mean, I know we talk about this often, but I'm just blown away how many of these human rights are broken.
Yeah,
they've disappeared. I mean, that was when last year, I think we all went, when the first call out came for this pandemic, I think we all were apprehensive and worried, naturally, what's going on. But when I saw, it was such an ingrained, deep, loud cry in my soul where I thought, these are human rights being taken away. And instead of pointing out to keep your elders safe and just appealing to human common sense or anything, just right after right after right was being taken away. And that never sat with me. And I'm just, some that stuck out, like returning, Article 13, returning to your country. Look how many people are not able to return. What the heck? Article 9, arrest and exile. you know, the Article 11 was with the you're innocent until proven guilty. Not even that is correct anymore. I know so many cases where there is a possibility that someone has committed a crime, but they are straight away dealt with as if they were guilty. For years and years, you know, court cases drag out for years and years, and all the time it wears people thin and thinner and thinner. Even then, at the end, if then the final verdict is, okay, you're not guilty, but the whole time they were held as if they were already guilty. So that law has long disappeared. I mean, that's up to the legal system, just Article 19 opinions. I mean, we can't have any opinions anymore. Things get censored, deplatformed. People's Wikipedia entries get altered, and suddenly, you know, Nobel Prize carriers, suddenly they are villains, and suddenly it's just horrendous what's being done. And there's a mention of the trade unions. It's one of the organizations I personally am really, really disappointed. Nowhere in the world are the trade unions standing up for their professions. That should really ring a lot of people's alarm clocks.
That's right.
Alarm bells. And then there is one, I can't remember which article at the end, with a special right for mother and child. You mentioned Casey before.
Yeah.
She's in North Shore Hospital. Her mother is not allowed to see her daughter. She's standing outside.
Is that right? Because she doesn't have the jab?
Because they are in level whether 3.75 and a half, and she's not allowed to go into the hospital. I don't know even whether that has to do with, you know, Asha, I was listening to a talk by Charles Eisenstein and this person I mentioned before, CJ, what's his name? CJ Hopkins. And they reminded me of a picture that we all saw with children in play school or kindergarten, whatever you want to call it, and they're sitting in their little square, distant from the other and with masks on. And I thought, what kind of world are we creating? You know,
yeah, and with no end in sight, you know, and that's a huge part of it. Is that
it's also to bring up a child that is not a natural way for a child to come up. Am I a danger to other people, or the world is constantly dangerous? That is just not natural. Right. That's not how the human psyche ever works, unless you forcibly and willingly want to create higher levels of anxiety already from birth on, which already, you know, coming to the other subject that we wanted to talk about one day, this whole totalitarianism. Industrialization has led to an increase in anxiety. And one of the 4 conditions that need to be prevalent in a society to create mass formation, to create this hypnosis, which eventually leads to a state of totalitarianism, is free floating anxiety. So those children growing up like this, that this is, you know, I am a danger to somebody, or somebody else is a danger to me, that is so against any nature, anything in nature. And we must remind people of that. And Charles Eisenstein, he mentioned, he said, you know, how a lot of the slogans are now safety first. And he said, in his mind, he's just changed that to the Burning Man motto, safety third. because it's anything else is just not, it's just not natural. It's just a not natural way of being. So we've got to remind ourselves not to put we naturally don't want to endanger other people. We don't do it. No. It's not in human nature. And now we constantly are reminded that we are a danger and a potential risk to other people. And we just have to repeat that it's just not true.
That's right. Yes. The use of fear, has become such an obvious feature of this entire campaign, and it's so deeply wrong. It's just so deeply wrong. And I mean, that is the state, as you say, by which you are so easily able to manipulate people, manipulating people who are fearful. And that's exactly what they're doing. And one of the
four conditions. I just really feel it's very important that people need to know how crowd formation or this mass psychological phenomena actually emerges. People need to be isolated. They need to experience a lack of social bond. People experience a lack of sense making in life.
Yeah,
that's the second condition. Then it's this free floating anxiety. That is the third condition. And then this free floating, that is according to Professor Matthias Desmet at the University of Ghent in Belgium. And so the fourth condition is free floating psychological discontent. So it needs to be in the mind of people without them just not being able to connect to anything, to something. And that these four phenomena have, since industrialization, they have increased. Many people, I think somewhere I saw a statistic, 1 out of 5 Americans, I think they mentioned, has no friend, not even one single friend. Don't quote me on that exact statistics. He also mentions that I think maybe the 1 out of 5 people in Belgium are on some form of anti-anxiety or antidepressing, an anti-depression drug. That's a huge percentage. And if you know the side effects of these pharmaceutical psychotic drugs, it's like a time bomb that we're sitting on. So those conditions need to be there, need to be present, and then give people a reason to connect to something. Give people, like in this case, a dangerous virus, or in the and direct all their anxiety to that. And suddenly what they have is a huge sense of connection.
Yes.
So that's right. And that, of course, gets nurtured. I mean, these people in leadership roles, being put in that leadership role, they know that. So they keep reminding us. And suddenly we have these people with a sense of connection. They don't have to address their anxiety. They don't have to address their meaninglessness. They can direct it all to this one topic that they're being given. And that's how it works. That's how you have your mass. And then it can be ramped up. It can be ramped up. And they actually, like Stalin, we've got to remember, I can't remember the notes that I have. Stalin ended up, so he first got rid of I think 80 million people he killed, right? So he first got rid of the bourgeoisie, the wealthy bourgeoisie. Then he got rid of the farmers, the gulags, then the Jews, and that is the most crazy thing, he got rid of 50% of his Communist Party members.
Wow.
Simply saying that they committed an act of disloyalty or whatever. And the people said, yeah, you're probably right. And that is how crazy things can get.
Yeah, with Jacinda Ardern, you know, she has an honours degree, I believe, in communications. And if you look at her skill, she is a master manipulator. Now, with people in that exact state that you're talking about, you know, with this heightened anxiety, they've been isolated, they're being kept in a state of perpetual confusion because the goalposts keep changing. You know, there's frustration and discontent. She, as the smiling savior, you know, with the words of kindness and the team leader, you know, is you know, pouring out that sense of it's okay, you're going to be looked after, you know, to all these people that are feeling like that. And it's just it's shocking, you know, that she's able to corral people and emotionally manipulate them, but she's so skilled at doing this. I think we have to recognize, and in a way, you know, definitely recognize the level of skill that's gone into this. And I'm even thinking, you know, did she spend her first couple of years in office building up this reputation as, you know, of kindness, of well-being, you know, of compassion, only to now to turn around and turn into the complete opposite of what she's talking about. You know, and her latest comments about the people who turned up, the men and women who stand to lose their jobs, and all of the people who are standing up for medical freedom at the Beehive, was that they're not our people. You know, they don't represent Aotearoa, don't we? Aren't we part of this country too?
Yeah,
it's yeah. What happened, Jacinda? To they are us. We are one. You know, it's I think
people at the moment are permanent resident, and that is a big long process that people go through to become permanent residents in New Zealand, involving also a lot of money. They cannot return to New Zealand because unless they have the vaccination.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, it is crazy. You know, Asha, I mentioned that to you before, what this C.J. Hopkins in conversation.
You want to finish with that quote?
With Charles Eisenstein, what he says. Because we've gone through, you and I and so many people with us, we've gone through so many discussions about the reason behind it all, the PCR test, the vaccine or the injectables, I'd like to rather call it, the actual virus, what it does. There's so many opinions. If people still don't know what really is going on, then tough for them, honestly. I don't know what else they need to find out. And so the C.J. Hopkins, he said that he stopped discussing the details of the virus or the PCR test or the vaccine. Even if you fully believe in this mainstream narrative, taken at its own term at face value. And he says there is nothing about this virus, this pandemic, whatever you want to call it, there is nothing that remotely justifies what is being done to society. And it's that simple.
Yes.
I think that's such beautiful, powerful, and we just maybe need to repeat that over and over again to the team of 5 million, to the team of 8 billion.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Oh, well, thank you, my friend, for your time today. It's always good to connect and to take a deeper look at some of these things. And I really look forward to maybe a next conversation around resilience and around some of the more empowering things that we can do. And yeah, because it can get pretty tough, you know, facing some of this stuff, but there's always a way through. You know, this too shall pass. And we just got to be there for each other and help each other through, and focus on positive ways to deal with it, and waking people up, you know, and being there for people when they're ready.
Again, I keep coming back of this beautiful way of in the Anglo-Saxon world, of not showing emotions. You don't get angry, this is the time to get angry. Not meaning that, hitting someone or hurting yourself or others, but you've got to have healthy anger to get out of this. This is the time. If you, it's simple as that. If you don't, like I'm talking from a therapist kind of view, from a health perspective, if you don't, it's going to eat you up. Because this really is the time to get angry.
Get angry. Yep. And channel that anger. Yep, right. Definitely. I've been angry. I've been angry in the last couple of weeks, wanting to break out into Tourette's of every swear word that I know, and I've had other people tell me the same thing. They just want to swear. They just want to let it all out, because it's overwhelming. But yeah, like everything, we can get through it, but we just need to recognize, be gentle on ourselves, be gentle on each other. Yep. Yeah. And keep dreaming of the world that we want to call into being.
This is the time to do your inner work. This is, and I think we should really have a conversation about that. You call it resilience, the steps people can take. Overall, what we can do, each and in every individual of us, that we can contribute to this change. We're not helpless. We're really, really important, every one of us. And we have to remind people that this is, whatever you do, if you have one conversation with a person, or you share one bit of information with a family member, do it. Don't have that voice. Every single voice counts. And don't give in. Don't give in. Always do, whatever you do it out of your free choice. Not if you start letting yourself be coerced by anything or anybody, that's a downward spiral.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, let's leave it there.
Yes. Nice to see you. And, no doubt I'll see you soon, and we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much, Barbara. And thank you, everybody.
I'm going to be on one of the last flights that I can take within New Zealand without having the vaccine or the vaccine passport or a PCR test. Air New Zealand is implementing that from the 14th of December on.
Excellent.
So we have to create our own freedom airline.
That's right. Yep. The new economy is on the way. All right. Thank you, my friend. Bye-bye. Enjoy the rest of the day.
And you too. Bye. Thanks.